They had firewood, they had blankets, they had a case of water in the hall closet, and they had checked the batteries in October. Everything on that list is about the cold. And the cold is not what put them in the hospital. What put them in the hospital was the thing they did to fix the cold. Every year in this country, more than 100,000 people go to an emergency room for the same reason, and almost none of them saw it coming. Most of them were not being careless. Most of them were doing the responsible thing. And here's the part I want you to hold on to because it decides everything else in this video. The mistake is almost never the machine. It's where the machine is standing. I'm going to show you the exact lines the CDC publishes about this on screen, so you're not taking my word for any of it. 5 of the things in this video are written down by a federal agency. One of them isn't a danger at all. It's a number that's going to surprise you. I'll get to that one near the end, and it's the only good news in 15 minutes. Start with what the gas actually is, because almost everything people believe about it is wrong. Here's the Centers for Disease Control in their own words. Carbon monoxide is an odorless, colorless gas that kills without warning. Odorless, colorless, not hard to smell, not smells like exhaust. There is nothing there to notice. Your nose has protected you your whole life. Gas leak, smoke, something burning, you smell it and you move. This is the one thing it was never built to catch, which is why people don't leave. They don't ignore a warning. They never get one. From the same page, more than 400 Americans die from this every year, not counting fires. More than 100,000 go to an emergency department. 14,000 are admitted. 14,000 people a year, sick enough to be kept overnight. That's a mid-sized town, admitted one at a time. And those numbers aren't spread evenly across the calendar. They pile up when the power goes out and the house starts to get cold. The CDC lists where it comes from, and read this list slowly. Gas and oil-burning furnaces, portable generators, and charcoal grills. Nothing exotic on that list. No chemical, no industrial accident. A furnace, a generator, a grill. 3 things that are already on your property tonight. So the risk doesn't arrive from outside during an emergency. It's already parked in your garage. It just needs a reason to be running. And a long outage is the best reason it will ever have. Let's talk about the generator because it's the single object most responsible for those hospital beds. A portable generator is a small engine. It burns fuel and it sends exhaust somewhere. That's all it does. Federal safety investigators put the output in a way I've never been able to forget. One portable generator puts out about as much carbon monoxide as hundreds of cars. Read that again in your head, and then picture what you would do if somebody suggested running a few hundred cars in your garage with the door up. Nobody would allow that. Nobody would even discuss it. And yet the generator, sitting in the same spot, feels like a reasonable compromise. Because it's small. Because it's outside the house, technically. Because it's cold, and the extension cord only reaches so far. Here's the line that matters most in this entire video, published by the CDC. Never use a generator inside your home or garage, even if doors and windows are open. Even if doors and windows are open. That is not a suggestion about ventilation. That's the agency closing the exact loophole most people use. An open garage feels like outdoors. It isn't. It's a box with one side missing. And gas doesn't leave a box just because the box has an opening. And the distance, also from the CDC. Only use generators outside, more than 20 feet away from any windows, doors, and vents. 20 feet, and notice what it's 20 feet from. Not from the house. From any window, any door, and any vent. That last word is the one people miss. A dryer vent, a furnace intake. Those are doorways too, and a generator parked politely around the side of the house can be standing right in front of one. So the mistake was never buying the generator. It was measuring the distance from the wrong thing. 20 feet is farther than it sounds. It's most of the way across a small backyard. It usually means a longer cord than the one that came in the box. And that cord is the cheapest thing in this entire video. It costs less than one night in a motel, and less than nothing compared to the alternative. Now the part that decides whether people get out in time. And this is where the gas does something almost cruel. The CDC lists the symptoms. Headache, dizziness, weakness, upset stomach, vomiting, chest pain, and confusion. Ask yourself an honest question. On a freezing night after you've hauled fuel and slept badly, which one of those would strike you as strange? The agency says it plainly, and this is a direct quote. CO symptoms are often described as flu-like. Flu-like. So the body does send a warning. It just sends it in the handwriting of something you've had 20 times and always got over. And people respond the way anyone would respond to the flu. They lie down. They take something for the headache, and they move closer to the warm part of the house, which is the part with the least air moving through it. Every instinct is correct for the flu. Every instinct is wrong for this. There's one signal that separates the two, and it costs nothing to check. The flu doesn't arrive in a household on a schedule. If more than one person in the house feels it at the same hour, the same headache, the same stomach, that's not a coincidence, and it's not a virus. And if that happens, the response isn't a window, it's the door. Everyone outside, into open air, and then you call someone. You don't investigate first. You can figure out which appliance did it from the driveway. You cannot figure it out from the floor. I put that check and the rest of what's in this video into a set of printed guides called the Survival Systems Preparedness Bundle. One system to a page, where the risk is, what to look at, and what to do first in type large enough to read by flashlight, because that's when you'll be reading it. $27, 4 files by email. The code is on your screen right now, and the link is in the description under this video. And if you'd rather just take notes from here, take notes. Nothing in this video is behind anything. Now, the hardest part of this, and the reason I put the symptoms before the schedule, from the CDC, people who are sleeping, drunk, or under the influence of other substances can die from carbon monoxide poisoning before they have symptoms. Before they have symptoms. Not they sleep through the symptoms. The warning system I just described, the headache, the stomach, the confusion, doesn't get a chance to run. And that's why a long outage is more dangerous at 2 in the morning than at 2 in the afternoon. Not because the gas changes, because you do. Which brings us to the one piece of equipment that does the noticing for you, the CDC. Install battery-operated or battery backup carbon monoxide detectors near every sleeping area in your home. Near every sleeping area, not one in the hallway by the kitchen. The device has to be where the person is when the person can't help themselves. And battery-operated or battery backup, which is the whole point. A detector that plugs into the wall and does nothing else is asleep during exactly the emergency it was bought for. 2 more lines, and both are calendar items. Check carbon monoxide detector batteries when you change the time on your clocks each spring and fall. And replace your carbon monoxide detector every 5 years. 5 years. That's the one nobody knows. The sensor wears out on a schedule, whether it ever went off or not, and a dead sensor looks exactly like a working one. Turn yours over tonight and look for a date. If there isn't one, write today's date on it with a marker, and you've solved it for the next 5 years. One more, and it's the upgrade I'd argue for. The CDC suggests a detector with a digital readout because it shows the highest level it recorded, not just whether the alarm went off. The difference matters. An alarm tells you about right now. A readout tells you what happened while you were asleep. The generator gets the attention. But it isn't the only thing a cold house talks people into. The CDC again, 5 words long. Never heat your house with a gas oven. That one surprises people because the oven is already indoors and you use it every week. But it's built to run for minutes at a time, not for hours with the door hanging open. Second, never burn charcoal indoors. And the agency adds a detail worth keeping because it's the one that kills people who think they're being careful. Burning charcoal, red, gray, black, or white, gives off carbon monoxide. Gray and white. Those are the colors of charcoal that's finished. The flame is gone, there's no smoke to speak of, and it looks like it's done working. So somebody brings the grill into the garage for the last of the heat. There's no visible fire, so it doesn't feel like bringing fire inside. Third, never use a portable gas camp stove indoors. Do not use portable flameless chemical heaters indoors. Camping gear is the trap in that sentence. It's designed for a tent, and a tent is not a room. And one more, which isn't about heat at all. Never run your car or truck inside a garage that is attached to a house, even with the garage door open. Warming up the car, charging a phone from it, sitting in it to get out of the wind. Same box, same open side, same result. 4 things, and look at what they have in common. Not one of them is reckless. Every single one is somebody solving a real problem with the tools they already own. I want to be careful with this next part because it's about you, and I'd rather say it straight than dress it up. The CDC. Everyone is at risk. Infants, the elderly, and people with chronic heart disease, anemia, or breathing problems are more likely to get sick from carbon monoxide. If you're past 60 or you're managing a heart condition or you carry an inhaler, you're on that list. Not because you're fragile, because a body with less margin runs out of margin sooner. That's not a reason to be afraid of your own house. It's a reason to move earlier than you think you need to. The person on that list should be the first one out the door, not the one who stays behind to check the basement. And if you live alone, tell one neighbor that the generator is running. Somebody knowing where you are is the cheapest safety equipment in existence. Now, the number I promised you at the beginning, the one that isn't about danger, because while all of this is going on, most people are standing in front of the refrigerator making a decision they don't have enough information to make. The Department of Agriculture publishes the answer, and it's two numbers. A refrigerator keeps food safe for about 4 hours. A full freezer holds its temperature for about 48 hours. 2 full days from a freezer that's full and stays closed. And if it's only half full, that number drops to about 24, which means the emptier your freezer is, the faster you lose it. And that's fixable this week with jugs of water. Here's why that's the good news I promised. 4 hours and 48 hours are long enough that the food is almost never the emergency. It just feels like the emergency because it's the only part of the blackout you can see. The part you can't see is running in the garage, and it doesn't give you 4 hours. So here's the whole night in order, and it fits on one page. 1. Before anything gets started, walk the distance. 20 feet from every window, door, and vent, not from the wall. 2. Look at what the exhaust is pointing at. If it's pointing at the house, turn the machine around. 3. Put a battery-powered detector near where people will be sleeping tonight before anyone lies down. 4. Close the refrigerator and leave it closed. You have 4 hours you weren't counting on. And 5, the one that isn't on any list. If 2 people in the house feel bad at the same time, you're all going outside. No discussion, no checking, no finishing the sentence. That last one is free. It takes 90 seconds, and it's the only one that works after the mistake has already been made. Nothing in this video asks you to be braver than you are. It asks you to move one machine about 20 feet and to believe a headache. They had firewood. They had blankets. They had checked the batteries in October, and every one of those decisions was a good one. The list was just aimed at the wrong thing. The cold was never the part that was going to hurt them. The furnace of a house is a system. So is a night without power. And a system fails at the place nobody was looking. If you've run a generator during an outage, and most people watching this have, go outside tomorrow and measure the distance. Then tell me in the comments what it actually was. I'd like to know how many of us were closer than we thought.